What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, Sister Girl on Films. And as you can tell by the title, I am here to give my thoughts and opinions on the latest entry into the Best Man franchise, Best Man Final Chapter. So if you're interested in my thoughts on this limited time 8-episode series, then stay right there. We're going to get right into this review.
Time to hang out with my sister girl. Hey, sister girl on films. Hey, sister girl on films.
Since I decided not to do a recap week to week for this show, I just ended up just binge watching it. I'm not going to give like a detailed recap of each episode and everything that happened in progression of the story. I'm not going to do all that. Really, I'm just going to give my thoughts about the show overall, and then some of the plot points that I felt like were either unnecessary or were really awesome. So if you haven't watched the Best Man Final Chapter or Final Chapters, I think that's what it's called, you might not want to watch this video just yet. So maybe you might want to go check that out first and then come back, because I am going to be giving spoilers. Okay, so you've been warned. Okay, this is a spoiler recap review. So Best Man Final Chapter picks us up shortly after Mia's death. If you saw Best Man Holiday, then you know Mia passed away. I think she had cancer, from cancer at the end. And so that's kind of where we left off. So this picks up a couple years, it seems like, after that event happened. The first 2 episodes of this 8-episode series, I hate it. I almost stopped watching it, but I said, nah, let me hang in there. It felt so disconnected from the original tone of the first 2 films. It was giving me slapstick. It was feeling like Couples Retreat. You know, if you've never seen that comedy, it's pretty funny, but it was reminding me of that, and I just was like, what is going on right now? So I actually want to start with Shelby and Quentin, okay? I know. Let me tell you why I'm starting with them. Because from what I remember from Best Man Holiday, which ain't a lot, they weren't like madly in love, right? Like, I don't recall them dating. I feel like it was still like that little love-hate thing that they had from the original Best Man, and then it kind of carried over to the sequel, and they had, you know, a little bit of intercourse here and there, but it wasn't anything like deep. If I'm not mistaken, like when Shelby got to Lance and Mia's house, her and Candace was going at it because they had like a little bit of beef, because Candace basically took Murch away from Shelby. Like, that was what I remember. Let me know in the comments below. I might have that wrong, but that was my memory of it. I could be wrong. This whole storyline with Shelby and Quentin, I hated it, okay? I felt like it was forced. Shelby being obsessed with Quentin and him being the love of her life, and them just wanting to be together, her wanting to ruin his wedding, and just, I was like, what is happening? And then come to find out her child is his child. And look, this Shelby Quentin storyline to me was just fan service. And maybe I would have been okay with the storyline if their love story had actually kind of been built and made sense. But it felt forced. It felt like it came out of left field. And I just didn't care. Like, their daughter ended up growing up being a spoiled brat. She wasn't very likable. Like, their whole storyline just could have been scrapped, honey. Like, Shelby just could have been, like, kind of popped in and out. I know she was the primary part of the original cast, I get it, but we started out with her being like a real housewife, and so I did enjoy that part because that made sense to me with Shelby. Like, that fit her personality for that character. So if maybe we had seen updates about her life just from her and being on this mock version of the Real Housewives, and then eventually maybe she joined the rest of them for maybe Quentin's wedding if he married somebody else, or if some other event happened, okay, cool. You know, let her storyline go that way. Quentin could have married somebody else. The dynamic of either of their storyline would not have changed if they had not been together. It felt forced. I hated it. Least favorite part of this whole entire 8-episode series. Their performances were good. I did like that. But I just was not buying their love story, okay? Y'all can come at me in the comments. Just do it respectfully, because I do block people. Y'all gonna be mad at me, y'all, but I gotta stand on my truth, okay? Lance, Hear me out, okay? Look, I get it. I know Lance is like not even like a primary character. Like, he was the reason for the best man in the first place. You know, it was his wedding, him and Mia, all of this. Here's the issue that I have with the character of Lance, okay? In this limited series, okay? So I get it that Lance was still grieving Mia, okay? And I also get it that Morris Chestnut has always been eye candy. Like, him and them, that iconic scene of him walking into the bar in slow motion and here's what you want. Dun, dun. I know it, y'all. I was in a movie theater when it happened, so I get it. But the way they wrote this character in this final chapter's limited series was maddening to me. Like, I understand everybody grieves differently, but seeing Lance go from being in love with Mia and you know, being all in about his faith and all this other stuff, putting his player ways to the side, to go to banging chick after chick after chick and having threesomes and just having sex with random women unprotected. It was all of left field. And I don't know if the point was to convey to us that Mia was really like so important to him that it made him change his ways, and this is like the real Lance, what we got in here. I don't know if that was the point, and that really he's not really a likable dude, and it was Mia that really made him more endearing. I don't know if that's what it was, but I couldn't stand Lance. I could not stand him. Like, I feel like he was an asshole. I didn't like the way that he was treating his child that came out as non-binary. I didn't like any of it. And near the end, when, you know, he hooked back up with the chick that worked at the resort in whatever island they were in, I didn't care. I didn't care. Like, I felt like Lance, the way that they handled this character, it took me away from the fact that this man was grieving his wife. And I didn't really feel too much sympathy for him. I feel like this character still could have been grieving Mia and doing it in a way that felt like he was really going through some shit. Like, he could have been in therapy. He could have been dealing with his kids. They really could have took it to a more dramatic place, in my opinion. But making him the middle-aged fuckboy with a midlife crisis who still wants to play football in the league was crazy to me. Now, it could have been a realistic portrayal, but either way, I feel like his storyline was just unnecessary the way they did it, and I would have liked to have seen Lance be written in a different way. And maybe near the end, when he found love, I would have been rooting for him more than just not giving a shit because he was a terrible person throughout the entire 8 episodes. Jordan. Here's my thing about the character for Jordan. So Jordan is third on my list. So I'm like halfway kind of neutral with her character and the character development. Here's why, though. The character of Jordan has been one note since day one. Beautiful, career-driven, single, obsessed with Harper. That's been her storyline. Now, in the second one, I do recall she had a boo. He was the fine white man. I do remember that. But then now going into this one, that shit's just gone. She's not with him no more. And so now she's hyper focused on her career. She's still single. She's still obsessed with Harper. Why couldn't we do more with Jordan's character? Now, I did appreciate the fact that we got to see her in a more kind of a motherly role, her being the godmother of Lance and Mia's children. I did appreciate that. And I did like the moment when she thought for a moment she was pregnant and then she found out she wasn't, and she had that heartfelt moment with Lance. I felt for her and I was like, dang, I wish we had more of that type of story for Jordan in these 8 episodes versus just the same song and dance that we've been seeing in the first 2 movies in this franchise. Like, it drove me nuts. But the reason why Jordan is third for me is because at the end, when Jordan quit her job and she was walking down the street and she was just kind of like, just finally had freed herself of this corporate lifestyle and just wanted to just work on her. In that moment, I was like, if they did a spinoff with Jordan and it was kind of like Sex in the City type of vibe with like a new set of women, but like Jordan was like a Carrie Bradshaw, I would be so here for it, okay? And I know we got 2 shows, Harlem and Run the World, that are supposed to be like the black Sex in the City, but I feel like they are not really hitting the mark. I do feel like Jordan or Nia Long leading a cast of like fierce, fabulous, beautiful black women, being single and sexy in DC or, you know, in that area, would be dope as hell. I would be here for that. But I know that ain't gonna happen. But I'm just saying, Malcolm Lee, consider it a spinoff. But yeah, the character for Jordan was just very much like same shit, different day. And I was kind of disappointed in that. And then also, back to the trash ass first 2 episodes, she met that man at the resort, and I know he was like freaky deaky, but then he was like, you know, whenever you're in New York, hit me up. And then that was just it. So like that was another storyline that just kind of got brought up, and then we never brought back, like it never got readdressed. Like, did she ever contact him? Like, was she just like, nah, bro, I'm gonna leave you at the resort? Like, we met this dude and then he was just like out of the picture. Maybe that was the point. I don't know. But the storyline for Jordan was just, it was nothing new. And I'm sick of her and Harper. Like, it's a love story that I could give 2 fucks about. And while we're talking about Harper, let's go ahead and get to Harper and Robyn. I was never really rooting for Harper and Robyn like that, okay? I feel like Harper gave Robyn that Martin and Gina proposal, the first one. Damn, Gina, I'ma marry you. You happy? You got your way. Damn. I don't remember exactly what he said, but it was giving that type of vibe.
Gina, I will marry you. Damn. I mean, are you happy now?
And I feel like Robyn just settled for Harper. I feel like she was always kind of like skeptical of her relationship with Harper, especially with Jordan always in the background, okay? And so now we have Harper and Robyn, you know, years later, beautiful little girl. That little actress was so freaking adorable. But they're having the same freaking issues. They're having the same issues. And I saw a meme where somebody was like, they had a picture of Sanaa Lathan as Robyn. It was like the real villain of this show. Bitch, how? Okay? Robyn had the opportunity to cheat on Harper with that fine ass man that was running that damn fruit stand or whatever it was. But she didn't. And that man was, she coulda. But she didn't, because she respected her marriage. She respected her family. And she was just like, I'm not happy in this marriage. I want to try to make it work. Let's go to counseling. Like, she was putting in the work. And as per usual, Harper was being selfish, focusing on his career. And yes, he's trying to get the money for the family. But I feel like she sacrificed so much for Harper for him to just kind of like not give a fuck and kind of just, I don't know, I feel like neglect her. And so when she made the decision like, enough is enough, I'm out, I want a divorce, I respected it and I was here for it. And then the fact that he cheated on her, even though him and Jordan didn't have sex, although I don't know, they sure were making out and they would have had sex had Shelby not called Jordan. Okay, so Harper has been not shit since day one. Robyn has been putting up with it for a long time, and I love the fact that she said, I'm done with this, I'ma do me. I didn't agree with her moving to Ghana though. I was like, girl, you moving a little bit too far, especially considering how that little baby love her daddy. But I got why she did it, because she needed to look out for her and she wanted to find her happiness, because she was in a marriage where she was not prioritized the whole time. So I did love what they did with their story, and I felt like the progression of them as a couple was the most realistic and it made the most sense, especially based on how toxic and how tragic, in my opinion, their love story started to begin with. And I felt like this was just the natural end for Robyn and Harper. That's just my opinion, y'all. Y'all let me know if y'all feel like, were y'all sad that they got a divorce? I wasn't, and I was happy for her. And I'm like, and go get fruit stand bae, because he was fine as hell. Okay. All right, y'all. And last but not least, y'all, my favorite storyline, Candace and Murch. Kudos to the writers of this series for giving Murch an actual storyline with development. Murch has been the sidekick friend since day one. And while he had a little something when he met Candace and left Shelby and all that, Murch was always kind of painted as this man that was kind of a pushover, you know, and just kind of like, you know, agreeable and getting along just to get along. And I appreciate the fact that they addressed that. And not only addressed it, but had Murch really say that, I don't like that y'all look at me that way. I don't like that y'all look at me as the butt of y'all joke and I'm, you know, a little soft dude, you know, that's kind of like tagging along and hanging around y'all. And I feel like y'all not really my friends like that. And I like that they addressed that because it's something that needed to be said. And Harper wasn't shit for allowing that portrayal of Murch in his movie. Him running behind Shelby. And even if that was what it was like, ask Murch if he's okay with that. Because you sure went out of your way to make sure Lance was cool with how Mia was portrayed and that he was okay with the final cut of the film, but you didn't care about Murch because you felt like Lance will whoop your ass and Murch wasn't gonna say nothing. And even with Quentin not even picking Murch to be his best man was just kind of like a slap in his face to Murch. And Murch is trying to do all these things to please Quentin, to make him see him as his best friend and as somebody who is worthy of being his best man. That whole situation was just messed up to me. I don't remember if they addressed why he didn't ask Murch to be his best man, but he ended up being the best man, but as the runner-up because Harper kept fucking up shit. So I appreciate the fact that Murch was allowed to be angry. I appreciated that Murch became an MMA fighter. I love that he had got to express his anger and his frustration. I also loved how they showed how close he and Candace were, to the point where even when they had a disagreement, at that moment they knew someone right in their marriage and they needed to fix it, and they loved each other enough to fix it. So I really did love how they addressed that with that couple, and I felt like it made sense for how this couple has been throughout from the first movie to now. And y'all, the part when Candace got assaulted by her professor and she went home and she saw Murch on that couch, and then she just started crying by that staircase. Y'all, I just was yelling at the TV. I was like, Murch, wake up. Please hear her. I did not want Candace to have to deal with that on her own. And I love that they did address it, that she did talk to Murch about it, that he supported her the way that she needed to be supported. Like, at the end of the day, Murch and Candace are like my favorite couple at this point. And I was dying when she went to his MMA match and was like, kill him! And Quentin started recording her. That's probably like my favorite scene of this 8 episodes for sure. Now, even though I did enjoy it, again, this is probably gonna be another controversial take. I felt like this was unnecessary. We did not need this. We didn't need this. The Best Man holiday ended clean. Yes, people might wonder what happened to these characters after Mia passed. You know, how did Lance fare? You know, how was Jordan, now that her best friend has died? But there were no loose ends to tie up. So I don't understand why we needed this, other than the fact that it was fan service. That was it. That was it. Like, this was so unnecessary. It did make me feel like I would love to see a spinoff when it was like the college years and to see what that was like, because when they showed Harper's movie, I was like, this looked interesting as hell, and I would love to see this actually as a TV show. But at the end, when it was all said and done and it was over, I was like, this already ended. Like, we already said our farewell in Best Man Holiday, and I feel like this was just unnecessary. It was good, but not necessary, okay? So, yeah, I'm sorry if this is all over the place and not very detailed, but again, I wasn't going to do an episode by episode recap. Just give my overall thoughts, you know, on how I felt about this limited 8-episode series. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know if I got it wrong about the sequel, and maybe Shelby and Quentin had a love affair that I just forgot about. I don't think so, but let me know. I might be off. And let me know if you watched this, if you enjoyed it. What are your thoughts? Did you feel like it was necessary? Did you feel like it tied up some loose ends that you felt like were left after the sequel? Let me know. And as always, y'all, like this video, share this video, subscribe to my channel, and I'm going to see y'all next time for something else. Thank y'all so much for y'all support, and I'm going to see y'all next time.
I talk my shit and keep it honest, keep it independent. I hear them hating, but that's only cause they inconsistent. He said the weapon wouldn't prosper, now they wouldn't form.